Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Nuzul Fahmi and my ID number is 20400122035. So here I'm going to explain and answer 3 questions of the 9th assignment in the psycholinguistic course. So let's check it out. Question number 1. Hanania and Gradman 1977 conducted research showing the process of adult language acquisition. What do you know of the research and what do you think about the research report if it is connected to your own experience as an L2 learners? So, Hania and Gradman's 1977 research shows that adult language acquisition, as experienced by Fatma, begins with routine. Fatma started her English learning through memorizing certain expressions without understanding their grammatical structure. And then, however, over time, she was able to use those language elements creatively, develop more complex syntax, and use them in various social contexts. So, in other words, routines help us build language patterns, while patterns facilitate creativity in speech formation. So, from my experience as an L2 learner, I feel that this research is very relevant. When I started learning English in junior high school, I memorized a lot of vocabulary and expressions without really understanding the grammar. And then in senior high school, I started to construct my own sentences, although I often made grammatical mistakes. I think this process was similar to Fatma's, where I felt that the routine of memorization and use of simple expression really helped us build a foundation for my English skill. Question number 2. Alice R. 1997 emphasized that the computational model explained 3 stages that occur in human mind when acquiring language. What do you know of the model? Explain your answer in detail and support with examples. Okay, Alice 1997 computational model explains that language acquisition consists of 3 stages. The first one is called intake. In this stage, the stage we learners receive language input and store in short-term memory. For example, when I hear someone say, "How are you?" for the first time, I store it in my memory as a phrase used to say hello to everyone or to someone. And then the second one is long-term knowledge, where the input stored in short-term memory is processed into language knowledge that is stored in long-term memory. For example, after hearing and using phrases like how are you several times, I began to understand that this phrase is a formal greeting in daily conversation. And then the next one is creative production. This is stored language knowledge is actively used to produce utterances. For example, I started to replace how are you with how is she or how are they, based on the context of the conversation, like that. Question number 3. According to Krashen 1982, adults will complete 5 stages of language development in the process of acquiring a second language. What do you know of the 5 stages and what do you think about the stages if they are connected to your own experience as an L2 learner? Okay, Question 1982 describes 5 stages of second language acquisition. The first one is pre-production stage or silent period. where learners focus on listening and memorizing vocabulary, but are not yet actively speaking. Like in my experience, when I was in junior high school, I mostly heard my teacher speaking in English, not only my teacher but also in Western movies. Then I started to memorize basic words like apple, book, table, pen, and etc. The next one is initial production. Here, learners start to speak using short phrases, although they often make grammatical mistakes. Like in my experience, in senior high school, I started trying to speak by constructing simple sentences like "I go to school," although the grammatical structure was not perfect. And then the next one is speech emergence. Learners use more vocabulary to form longer sentences, but there are still grammatical errors, like in my experience. Since I started using expressions like "I want to buy an ice cream," but sometimes I get confused about using the tenses correctly in different situations, like that. And then the next one is intermediate fluency. It is learners are able to use complex sentences for speaking and writing, but grammatical errors still occur. Like in my experience at university, I started writing short essays and having conversation with my friends, although I often get confused with more complex sentence structures, like that. And then the last one is advanced fluency, where learners are able to speak and write almost on par with native speakers, like native speakers with few errors, a little bit errors. Like in my experience, I feel that this stage has not been fully achieved, as there are still because there are still some minor mistakes when I speaking or writing, but I am already more confident in using English a little bit. I'm still learning. So I think that's all about my explanation in this time. I want to say I'm so sorry if there are so many mistakes in my speech, and thank you so much for your kind attention. Akhirul kalam, fasabrun jamil, wallahu musta'an. Thumma assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.